I think Ryobi are on a real winner here with the 1 Plus range. They seem to have hit the perfect price point. The tools are affordable and yet decent enough quality that they'll really last and seem to do the job for some time. These aren't all of my Ryobi tools. These are just the ones I keep in the workshop. I have gardening tools and a few tools at work in my tool chest there as well. And the whole reason I ended up getting into this is because of this little fella here, the Airstrike nail gun, or Brad nailer. I had none of these, and then I needed a Brad nailer. I looked around, and for the amount of use I would get, the money I wanted to spend, and the fact that I'm again, this is what I ended up with. And I've been really pleased. I bought this way back in 2016. Here we are getting very close to the end of 2019. It's one of my most used tools actually, and it is performing like a champion. Hi, my name's Darren and welcome to my workshop. So as you'll have seen in the intro, this one's all about the Ryobi Airstrike 18 gauge brad nailer. It's the R18NL. NL obviously stands for Netherlands. Hello to the people in the Netherlands. Let's have a good look at it. As you can see here, you've got a couple of LEDs to light up the workplace there when you're about to put in the brad. To activate the LED lights on the underside, you just have to press the safety release underneath the trigger and that ignites them. On the back of the top of the unit here, we have the air pressure dial, so that adjusts how hard basically it drives the nail, which works in conjunction with, around here at the front, this is the depth adjustment, depth of drive adjustment they call it, Ryobi call it, and that sets how deep the nail is recessed below the surface, if you like, how hard it's hit in. So really you need to combine the use of the two together to get the setting you want. That said, I set it once when I first got the unit, both of them, and I've never needed to change them. Maybe one day if I start driving into something super hard I might, but certainly with plywood and pine I've never needed to change the settings at all. This little clip here releases the cover for the brad nails, and you can see we've got some 25mm brad nails in there at the moment. Oops, I just broke the string. Okay, there's some 15mm brad nails. You see how they sit in with these ridges. If I take the 15mm out, I've got some 30mm here, and they obviously, little heads go up a little bit higher on that one, and it'll take all the way up to 50mm. I'm going to pop the 25s in just because I'm going to do a little demo of it working before, and that's the size we're going to need for that. There's a little spring here, so when we slide this back it pushes them in place up against the drive mechanism, and a little window here so you can see how many brads are left. If that's not shiny like it is at the moment, you're running out of brads. You can see at the top here where it's designed for seeing the taller brads, you can't see anything shiny, it's just a black hole. So that's what that little window's for. Alright, moving around to the front, I'm just going to take the brads out again for this, otherwise they'll fire across the room, but putting the spring in there. Because on the top of the unit we've got this little release mechanism which allows us to open things up, and if we've got a jam in there we can clear out the jam. I've only had one jam once and it was just a tiny piece of metal, if you like, was stuck in there, not a full nail, so I just grabbed that out and everything was good. So that's our release for unblocking it if something gets blocked. Here's our little tip, that's our safety tip if you like. When we're going up against a piece of wood, it won't shoot a brad until that's depressed. You can see there that moving in, and no, I'm not pushing it with my fingers even though there's no battery on the unit. Too superstitious for that. No, I'm not superstitious, but anyway, you can see it moving in and out there. Alright. Traditionally brad nailers work on compressed air, in fact my previous one did, and the pain with that is of course you've got to charge up the air compressor before you can use it. I've got a fairly large air compressor, so that takes forever to charge, it's loud, and basically since buying that, and let me dig it out of the pile of Ryobi tools on the other side of the workbench there, Alright, so between that and this tyre inflator, I actually haven't used my air compressor since I bought them. So there you go. But I have kept it because you never know your luck. Might need it one day. So yes, not driven with an air compressor, instead all driven with a battery, which makes the unit much more easy to use. It makes it heavier, of course, because you know you've got a motor and a battery that you didn't have before. Before it was just a piston. But it makes it so much more convenient because you don't have to charge up the air compressor, you just pick it up when you need it. And bear with me here. You just pick it up when you need it and done. Nailed together. Very, very easy. Primarily you would use a brad nailer for holding things in place while glue sets up. So you might be putting a piece of trim around a cabinet, for example, or a windowsill with some moulding underneath, and so I use this to hold the moulding to the windowsill. So yeah, you'd place your glue between the two pieces of wood, and then every so often just place a brad, and that would hold it in place. And one of the beautiful things about brads, I'm going to take the earmuffs back off now, one of the beautiful things about brads is the little hole it makes as it pushes the nail in is very small, very easy to fill and hide. A bit of wood filler in there, and even though wood filler really never matches the wood, because it's small you do get away with it, and in some places you don't even need to cover it. You just leave it, especially if you're going to paint. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I've had this Airstrike brad nailer since October 2016. It's been very good to me. I've had no problems with it whatsoever. It's had heaps of use. It's become one of my most used tools. One of the reasons I bought Ryobi is I didn't think I would be using it so often. But because it is easy to use, I've found I used it more often. And yeah, it's had a good old workout since then. It saves you a lot of clamping when you can just brad nail things in place. And it's a lot quicker and easier. So would I recommend this to someone else thinking of buying a brad nailer? Absolutely. And I'd probably even go as far as to recommend it to someone who uses it more than I do. So perhaps even someone that uses it on a daily basis. Give it a whirl. It might save you a bit of money in the long run, especially if you get 3 years of good use out of it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye.